When I opened my eyes at 2 a.m. and saw my son-in-law standing over my bed with my grandmother's diamond ring in his hand, my heart stopped. He thought I was unconscious from the pills he'd been giving me. But what he didn't know was that for the last 2 weeks, I'd been throwing those pills away and pretending to sleep. I had switched them with real vitamins. And tonight, I wasn't alone. Detective Morrison was hiding in my closet with a camera. Let me tell you how I got here. My name is Dorothy Westfield, and I'm 70 years old. I've lived in the same house for 43 years, the house my husband Thomas and I bought when we were newlyweds. Thomas passed away 6 years ago from a heart attack, and since then, I've been living alone. Well, not completely alone. I have my daughter Rebecca, who visits me regularly. Or at least, she used to. Rebecca married a man named Kevin Hartley 2 years ago. From the moment I met him, something felt wrong. He had that smile, you know the kind. Too perfect, too practiced, like a salesman who's rehearsed his pitch 1,000 times. But Rebecca was so happy, so in love, and I didn't want to be that mother, the one who ruins her daughter's happiness because of a feeling. So I kept quiet. I smiled at their wedding. I welcomed Kevin into our family. I gave them $20,000 as a wedding gift to help them start their lives together. Thomas would have wanted that. He always said family comes first. The first year of their marriage was normal. They'd visit every Sunday for dinner. Kevin was polite, always offering to help with dishes, asking about my health, complimenting my cooking. He seemed like the perfect son-in-law. But then, about 8 months ago, things started to change. It began with small suggestions. "Mom, you're getting older. Maybe you should think about taking some vitamins," Kevin said one Sunday evening as we sat in my living room. He pulled out a small brown bottle from his jacket pocket. "These are excellent. All natural. They'll help you sleep better, give you more energy during the day." I looked at Rebecca. She nodded enthusiastically. "Kevin's been researching health supplements. He's really good at this stuff, Mom. You should try them." I didn't need vitamins. I felt fine. But I also didn't want to seem ungrateful. So I took the bottle. "Thank you, Kevin. That's very thoughtful." "Take one every night before bed," he instructed, his eyes watching me carefully. "It works best on an empty stomach, about an hour after dinner." That night, I took my first pill. Within 30 minutes, I felt drowsy, heavier than usual. I barely made it to my bedroom before I collapsed onto the bed and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. The next morning, I woke up at 11 a.m. I never sleep that late. Ever. Even on my worst days, I'm up by 7 a.m. I felt groggy, disoriented, like I was moving through thick fog. It took me 2 cups of strong coffee just to feel remotely normal. I called Rebecca. "Honey, those vitamins Kevin gave me, they made me sleep for 12 hours. I don't think they agree with me." "That's just your body adjusting, Mom," she replied, her voice distracted. "Give it a few days. You'll feel better soon." But I didn't feel better. Every night I took those pills, I'd sleep 10 to 12 hours, completely unconscious. I couldn't wake up even if I tried. And during the day, I felt exhausted, weak, like my body was fighting against itself. Kevin and Rebecca started visiting more frequently. 3 times a week, then 4. Kevin always brought new bottles of vitamins. "You're running low, Mom. Here's a fresh supply." And then I started noticing things. Small things at first. My pearl necklace, the one Thomas gave me on our 20th anniversary, wasn't in my jewelry box where I always kept it. I searched everywhere. Under the bed, in the bathroom, in the kitchen drawers. Gone. "Maybe you misplaced it," Rebecca suggested when I mentioned it to her. "You know memory gets fuzzy as we age." I wasn't that old. My memory was perfectly fine. But I didn't push it. Maybe I had misplaced it. Then my grandmother's gold bracelet disappeared. Then a silver picture frame Thomas bought in Italy. Then a crystal vase. One by one, valuable items started vanishing from my house. I confronted Rebecca and Kevin during Sunday dinner. "Things are disappearing from my house. Expensive things. Do you know anything about this? Kevin looked genuinely concerned. Mom, have you thought about getting your locks changed? Maybe someone has a key. Or maybe. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Maybe the pills are making you forget where you put things. I'm not senile, I snapped. No one's saying that, Rebecca interjected quickly. We're just worried about you. Living alone at your age, taking medication, it's a lot. That night, I didn't take the pill. I placed it under my tongue, walked to the bathroom, spit it out, and threw it in the trash. I went to bed and pretended to sleep. At 2:30 a.m., I heard my bedroom door creak open. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing steady and deep. Footsteps approached my bed. Soft, careful footsteps. Through my barely open eyelids, I saw a shadow. Kevin. He was standing over me, watching me, making sure I was unconscious. Then he moved to my dresser. I heard the sound of drawers opening, items being moved. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. But I didn't move. I didn't breathe differently. I just listened. After 10 minutes, he left. I heard the front door close softly. I jumped out of bed and ran to my dresser. My mother's emerald earrings were gone. The next morning, I called the police. A young officer named Sergeant Williams came to take my report. I told him everything. The pills, the missing jewelry, Kevin's midnight visit. Mrs. Westfield, he said gently, do you have any proof? Any evidence? I saw him, I insisted. Last night. He was in my bedroom. But did you actually see him take anything? I hesitated. No. But my earrings are gone. Sergeant Williams sighed. Without evidence, there's not much we can do. It's your word against his. And legally, if you gave him a key to your house, he has a right to be here. I never gave him a key. Does your daughter have a key? Yes. Then legally, she can give him access. I'm sorry, Mrs. Westfield. My advice? Change your locks. And maybe install some cameras. Cameras. That was it. That was how I'd catch him. I called a security company that same afternoon. I need cameras installed in my bedroom and living room. Hidden cameras. Can you do that today? They came within 3 hours. Small cameras, invisible to the naked eye, installed in smoke detectors and picture frames. They connected to an app on my phone. I could watch everything in real time. That night, I didn't take the pill again. I flushed it down the toilet. I climbed into bed, turned off the lights, and waited. At 1:47 a.m., Kevin entered my house. I watched him on my phone screen as he walked through my living room, climbed the stairs, and entered my bedroom. He stood over me for a full minute, checking if I was unconscious. Then he went to my jewelry box. He took my grandmother's diamond ring, the one she wore every day of her married life. He slipped it into his pocket. Then he took a gold watch. Then a pearl brooch. I recorded everything. He came back the next night. And the night after that. For 2 weeks, I documented his thefts. I counted the items. 23 pieces of jewelry. Total value? Approximately $75,000. But I needed more. I needed to understand why. So I called Detective Morrison, Sergeant Williams' supervisor. I showed her the videos. Mrs. Westfield, she said, her expression serious. This is theft, absolutely. But I also see something else here. Those pills he's giving you, have you had them tested? No. Should I? Yes. Immediately. I took the pills to a pharmacy. The pharmacist sent them to a lab. 3 days later, I got the results. They weren't vitamins. They were zolpidem. Prescription-strength sleeping pills. Enough dosage to knock out a person for 10 to 12 hours. Mrs. Westfield, Detective Morrison said when I called her with the results, your son-in-law has been drugging you. This is serious. This is criminal. What do? We catch him in the act. With me as a witness. We planned everything carefully. Detective Morrison would hide in my closet with a professional camera. I would take a real vitamin, pretend it was his pill, and fake sleep. Kevin would come, thinking I was unconscious, and steal. But this time, he'd be caught red-handed with a police detective as a witness. The night finally came. I took my vitamin at 9 p.m., just like always. I called Rebecca. "Good night, sweetheart. Tell Kevin thank you for the vitamins. I'm sleeping so much better." Detective Morrison arrived at 10 p.m. She positioned herself in my closet, camera ready. "Don't worry, Mrs. Westfield. I've got you covered." I climbed into bed. I turned off the lights. And I waited. At 2 a.m., I heard the door. Kevin's footsteps on the stairs. My bedroom door opening. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing deep and steady. He approached my bed. I could feel him standing over me, watching, waiting. Then he moved to my dresser. I heard the jewelry box open. And that's when I opened my eyes. He was holding my grandmother's diamond ring, the last valuable piece I had left that he hadn't stolen yet. The moonlight from my window caught the diamond, making it sparkle. Our eyes met. His face went white. "Mom, Detective," I said calmly. "You can come out now." The closet door opened. Detective Morrison stepped out with her camera. "Kevin Hartley, you're under arrest for theft, burglary, and administering drugs without consent." Kevin dropped the ring. He turned to run, but Detective Morrison was faster. She had him in handcuffs within seconds. "You can't do this," Kevin stammered. "Rebecca, where's Rebecca?" "Oh, Rebecca," I said, sitting up in bed and turning on the lamp. "She'll be here soon. I called her 20 minutes ago and told her to come over. I said it was an emergency. She should be here any moment." Right on cue, I heard the front door open. "Mom? Mom, are you okay?" Rebecca ran up the stairs. She burst into my bedroom and froze. Kevin in handcuffs. Detective Morrison in uniform. Me, sitting calmly in my bed. "Mom, what's going on?" "Your husband," I said, my voice steady and cold, "has been drugging me with sleeping pills for 8 months. Then, while I was unconscious, he'd break into my house and steal my jewelry. 23 pieces so far. Worth $75,000. Rebecca looked at Kevin. "That's not true. Tell her it's not true." Kevin said nothing. His silence was the confession. "I have videos," I continued. 2 weeks of footage showing him breaking in, going through my things, stealing. I have the lab results proving the vitamins he gave me were actually prescription sleeping pills. And tonight, Detective Morrison witnessed him in the act. Rebecca collapsed onto my bedroom chair. "I don't understand. We have money. We have good jobs. Why would you?" "Because it's never enough for people like him," Detective Morrison said. "We ran his background check after Mrs. Westfield contacted us. Kevin has $70,000 in gambling debts. He needed cash fast. And your mother's jewelry was an easy target." Gambling. Of course. That's why he'd seemed so stressed lately. That's why they'd stopped going on vacations. That's why Rebecca looked so tired all the time. "I trusted you," I said to Kevin. "I welcomed you into my family. I gave you $20,000 for your wedding. And you repaid me by drugging me and stealing from me." "I was going to pay you back," Kevin said weakly. "I just needed time. The debts, they were threatening me. I had no choice." "You always have a choice," I replied. "You chose wrong." Detective Morrison led Kevin out of the house. Rebecca sat in the chair, crying. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "I know you didn't, sweetheart. But you need to understand something. I tried to tell you things were wrong. You dismissed me. You told me I was getting old, that my memory was fuzzy. You took his side over mine." "Because I loved him," she sobbed. "Because I wanted to believe in him." "Love doesn't mean blind trust," I said gently. Love means listening. Really listening. Especially to the people who raised you, who know what real character looks like. Rebecca stayed with me that night. We talked until sunrise. She cried. She apologized. She promised to do better. Kevin was charged with multiple felonies: theft, burglary, assault by drugging, fraud. His bail was set at $200,000, which he couldn't pay because of his debts. He sat in jail awaiting trial. Rebecca filed for divorce immediately. I hired her the best lawyer my money could buy. She deserved better than Kevin Hartley. 3 months later, the trial began. I testified. Detective Morrison testified. The videos were shown in court. The pharmacy records were entered as evidence. Kevin's gambling debts were exposed. The jury took less than 2 hours to convict him on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 7 years in prison. "Mr. Hartley," the judge said during sentencing, "you betrayed the trust of a 70-year-old woman who welcomed you as family. You drugged her, rendering her unconscious and vulnerable. You stole irreplaceable family heirlooms. You showed no remorse until you were caught. This court has no sympathy for you." 7 years. It felt like justice. Rebecca and I rebuilt our relationship slowly. She moved back home with me for a few months while she sorted out her life. We had coffee every morning. We talked. Really talked. About everything. "Mom," she said one morning as we sat on the porch watching the sunrise, "how did you stay so calm through all of this? How did you know what to do?" I smiled. "Because I'm 70 years old, sweetheart. I've lived through things you can't imagine. I've learned that panic doesn't solve problems. Strategy does. Patience does. Evidence does." "You were so brave." "I was terrified," I admitted. Every night when I pretended to sleep, waiting for Kevin to break in, I was shaking inside. But I knew I had to do it. I had to catch him. Because if I didn't, he'd keep doing it. And maybe next time, it wouldn't just be theft. Maybe next time, he'd hurt someone. Rebecca hugged me. "I'm proud of you, Mom. And I'm sorry I didn't listen sooner." "You listen now," I said. "That's what matters." Today, I'm still living in my house. I changed all the locks. I kept the security cameras. And I got my jewelry back. Most of it, anyway. Some pieces Kevin had already sold to pay his debts. But the important ones, the ones with real sentimental value, were recovered. I sleep better now. Real sleep, not the drugged unconsciousness Kevin forced on me. I wake up at 7 a.m. like I used to. I drink my coffee. I tend to my garden. I live my life. And every time I look at my grandmother's diamond ring on my finger, I remember that night. The night I caught a thief. The night I chose to fight back instead of being a victim. The night I proved that being 70 years old doesn't mean being helpless. Kevin thought he was clever. He thought drugging an old woman and stealing from her would be easy. What he didn't realize is that old women have survived worse than men like him. We've raised families. We've buried husbands. We've fought battles he couldn't imagine. And we don't give up. Ever. If you liked my story, you can support me by making a donation so I can write more stories. Thank you in advance. And you, what would you do in this person's place? I would love to hear your opinion, so please share it with me in the comments. I'm always curious about what you all think. And also, write me where you heard this story from. For more life stories like this, like the video and subscribe to my channel. There are many other stories waiting for you. With heartfelt greetings, until next time.